Whoa! Say what?
That's just silly. Showing off, styling.
Did you finish in this style, Yasser?
No, never. I would have been playing
so unnecessary.
showboating a little bit.
100%.
Mr. Hans Niemann. Remember the name and you will not forget this game. He just landed the Checkmate of the Year in round 5 of the US Chess Championships. His opponent was Abhimanyu Mishra, the youngest grandmaster ever at the age of 12. He's now 16, and what makes this so special is Mishra was on a 71 game unbeaten streak in classical chess, which this is over the board in St. Louis, the home of chess these days. Let's dive in, because Niemann opens with the king pawn. He essays an Italian stallion, absolutely loves it. Mishra copies, castles, knight f6. It goes real solid and steady here. Both players so booked up, and sometimes you see black giving the bishop some room, but not today. Mishra says, you sir can have the legendary bishop bear. It's what we now see transpiring. Niemann doesn't yet take. First they both get all their bits out. It's good etiquette, good chess. Finally we see this one nabbed off the board before it has chance to retreat, and Niemann's quite happy. He pops to the confessional booth saying so. He's got these bishops over here, hasn't had to compromise his pawn structure, strikes in the center. If you want to learn to play such imaginative and brilliant opening chess, then have a look at Lotus Chess, link in the description. It's truly groundbreaking, everybody loves it. We're cracking on with the game though here. Bishop d7 played, bishop e3, and we do have to ask a quick question, because the center's now attacked twice, defended once, since you put the bishop in the way. So can't you take? Well, yes, but then queen takes, and you hit this pawn, you defend, and you also set up tactics like this if you're not careful. All sorts going on. So no takes. Mishra just goes queen c7. You could now keep building up with moves like this, but Niemann temporarily forgets which way the pieces are supposed to move. Of course, that's a joke. Sometimes you have to maneuver the knight, and sometimes you have to set up the pawn cube, also known as a pube. We've not seen one this epic since we heard Grandmaster Christian Kurilla promoting the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra.
Every man knows the fear of that close shave just down below the waistline, but with the Lawnmower 5.0 I've managed to checkmate that fear. I've had the privilege to try the new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and trust me, it's an absolute banger. It's a game changer.
And fun fact, he did that promotion in the episode on the C-Squared podcast, great channel, go subscribe, when him and Fabi had Mishra on the show. Let's crack on here, because Niemann shaves the pube immediately, didn't want to live with that. Why did the queen take and not the knight? Well, you didn't want to run into a quick f4, so these two now control that square. But here is a sign of the aggression of Hans Niemann. You know, he could take here, stabilize the center, simplify things. He has a small edge. But what he plays is bishop d4, queen f4, and then g3. Chasing the queen, weakening his king position, leaving a pawn to hang now, because he goes into the tank here, the mental tank, not the fish tank. Does love a good swim though, and decides it's the moment to give up the bishop. He spends 20 minutes on the decision. Queen recaptures played. Surely now you cover the pawn. No siree. This is what makes him one of the most exciting players in the world right now. f4. He roars like a mighty chess lion, saying please take, and the initiative you can generate is incredible. I mean, does he know this stuff? Is he finding this over the board? But this one here is a clear, clean pawn sacrifice. Black can actually start giving up a piece now and try and play like that. But if you drop back some kind of normal move, then white generates this big initiative. Here's one sample line. It's a really rich, interesting position. So we didn't see bishop takes and queen h5. Instead, we got knight takes on f4. Mishra's like, no thank you, Hans. I don't want your salad. I want your steak. Recaptures, queen takes, so that's 2 pawns in the bag for the piece and an exposed king, and it's about to be 3 pawns. And this is the point. This is why the sacrifice is sound. Niemann bringing around the queen to the defense. You could take the pawn straight away, technically preferred engine move, at least according to what I'm running. You never truly know unless you go to the deepest depths of those engines, right? Pure Mariana Trench territory. This was the game. If f5, thinking ha 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 ha, well then there's queen f2 and you're about to win a queen. If you try a line like this, doesn't quite work. White emerges an exchange ahead and should be winning this. Technically, a lot of work to be done. So, no f5. Instead, bishop takes on h3. Queen f2 going for the exchange. And you'd love to play, say, queen g4 check. Keep the queens on. Generally, you want that when you're attacking an exposed king. But the knight just jumps back. And actually, white can generate some initiative, right? You know, not without trumps and a possible attack. So this was played. King recaptures. That's 3 connected passed pawns on the king side, running like space invaders against the knight. What a battle this is, and what a moment this is. Because Niemann now plays the flashy, not for the first time this game, knight d6. Dr. Jeannie Sinkfield loves it, starts ringing the bell like a madwoman. She's one of the co-founders of the St. Louis Chess Club, along with her husband Rex. How much they've done for chess is fantastic here. Now hang on, let's run back, sorry. Why not capture the knight? Obvious question. Will you get branked? That's back ranked checkmate. That's called a portmanteau, by the way. Little English lesson there. First coined by Lewis Carroll. And if instead of taking, you take here, seen in the game, well, the problems persist if you try and take. The bishop takes the flight square. So let's run back. We see this played to just defend the pawn. Niemann now goes for another flashy move. Please take me, then I take you. Actually, no, you get mated still. No good. So we see king f8 played. You could take, by the way, just a different game. This was played, however, saying, fine, you can take that one, Niemann, but now I take you here. There's no back rank checkmate. Of course, I can escape, and I cover the square, in fact, and your bishop's gone. So for many reasons, it's not mate. We now have the bishop against the pawns. Niemann whispers, do you even, Rookcliffe bro? He's in great shape. This prepares f5, and now he slides over. Pawn push on the cards. Bishop f1, f5, and the explosive c4 looks to break down the structure. So Mishra does this, and there are drawing lines left, right, and centre. Still a draw, according to Ival Barovic, but a definite one, really, if you start doing this and rook's leaving the board. Sooner or later, bishop's going to have to sacrifice itself. You're even in danger of losing this with the white pieces. So let's run back. Niemann drops off, allows this pawn to drop after a couple of checks, but he wins this one. And it is a key pawn because now you've unleashed Andrew, don't know where that came from, let's think of a name, running away like prime Yasser Serwan. It's dangerous, it's counterplay against the black pawns over here, but what does Mishra do, of course? Will get his own ones running. Very dangerous, here they come, Prawnageddon, avalanche territory. You could technically give up this pawn now, just rush in the king, push g3, not winning, but drawing. But okay, this was played, not the most precise. We now see takes, rook swinging round, and it's now primed and loaded to just push this guy through. So Niemann rushes round. Don't take, or this one runs way too fast. You win a bishop, should be a draw. So instead of takes, we see the step back. King e5 is best, or is it not best? Maybe I'm getting mixed up with my lines here. No, why did I highlight that? Completely forgot. But now apparently rook g8 is good. Anyway, king stepping back here. g3 check played. It's a miss, but not obvious why. Don't go king e2. f3 check comes. Once again, you're getting distracted. So this is the best move. Hans finds it. King e5 now stepping in. This one's apparently more precise. I mean, it's fascinating to me just how complex chess can get when you're in an endgame here. Even though there's less pieces on the board, it becomes this absolute hard calculation thing. So tricky. The engines just destroy us at this phase of the game, or any phase, let's be honest. And rook b6 is now best to try and head for this pawn. Very difficult to understand, especially low on time. Niemann's 30 minutes up now. The mistake of c4 is played. Double question marks of doom, and this is why. You check the king, and when it steps in, like we see in the game, the pawn just drops. If you try and stay with it, well, you could go after this, or you could check and go after it like this. It's just vulnerable on that square. This is the trouble. So king e3 played, bishop takes, pawn f3. How ominous does this look? I mean, you're in a mating net. If only black could land a check, right, down over here. But you can't do such things, not legally. Niemann to move and he checks. Don't go here or here. You lose a rook. You're not getting mated. Bishop covers the square from the queen. So none of this and this. We see this. Now pawn a5. Ignore the question mark. It really is still one of the top moves. f2 check is now a threat. Distract the king. Mate the queen. And that's why rook d1. You're prepared to meet this with this, and you've got that squared covered just enough times. So instead, we see king e3, threatening, rook e1 check, the only winning move.
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the only...
And it's like this beautiful dance, like fencing or something. You step this way, I step this way. Black's just in time to get it all covered, and then your own pawn is running. So let's run back. We see king f4, bishop d5, very good. Rook g5, and it doesn't matter if you'd have gone king g3. The outcome's the same. Niemann's prepared a brilliancy here. Bishop takes on f3. And this is always the beauty of having the extra piece against the pawns. You can always try and pick that opportune moment to give it up and then run with your own pawns, even with material restored. Now you can't start running the h-pawn, not in time. A-pawn queens would check. Even if it doesn't, I think it's still lost. So king e4 played, desperately rushing back. Niemann now runs his connected pawns here. A6 is a winning move, but Niemann's got, sorry, let me run back, load of rubbish. In a moment, there's a winning move of a6. If you do it here, it's not winning. Rook g8, and it leads to a draw. Apologies, these lines get a little bit crazy. Got to try and remember my stuff. This is the draw. So don't go a6. Apologies. Instead, go b6. Niemann plays it. You'll see what I was about to mix up with. Now, if you go a6, it is a winning move, but fine. Pick your poison here. Niemann decides to give Mishra this one. Check is played. If you step this way, you check from behind, hold the pawn, push the b pawn. So we saw this backing into the corner, a6, and it threatens mate in 1. Look at that. It's really starting to look like a study. So this rook blocks the checkmate. Now rook h7, and the big trouble for black is you're in this paralysis. You can't leave the back rank. The king can't really do much. Just sitting there like a lame duck, waiting to be, you know the rest. So the pawn drops. This is completely lost. No point trying this. King marches over. Eventually you do the business like this. Try not to stale meat. So we run back here. Waiting with the rook was played. Excuse me. Let's keep cracking on here. Won't go down all the sidelines. Ultimately, the king gets in. It was unavoidable. Even if you tried to keep it cut, you can start offering rook exchanges and stuff. The king can always make its way over. We reach this position here, and it's an absolutely fascinating moment, because this is where Niemann unleashes the most spectacular way to finish the game. And just before he does this, reaching for a knight and a bishop, preparing for an under promotion if necessary, showing his opponent he's calculated everything. Wow. We now see the move. Rook c8 check.
This I missed.
Obviously you have to take, or you're mated, only legal way. And the point is check. And we don't see king a7. We see king b8. If king a7, this is what Niemann was about to demonstrate. You can either make a bishop, only possible by the way, because it's the same colour as where the pawn's headed, or you can make a knight, check. And this is one sample line of how the game could finish. If takes, pawn is going, you do cover the squares. If not takes and you try and wait, well, you do actually have to bounce around with the knight. But here's a sample. Go to the corner, get mated, step away from the corner, get mated. Okay, sample. So that would have been quite something. But Mishra goes for this, and now king b6 is the beautiful icing on the cake here. What to do? Rook's about to drop, of course, and more than that, there's a bigger threat now demonstrated because Mishra allows it. What a guy. Thank you. You really helped my title this evening. a7, check and mate on move 85. That's got to be the checkmate of the year, pretty much right. The last one I remember this good was, say, the en passant checkmate on Magnus, but I think that was last year or something. So beautiful. Hope you enjoyed this game. The tournament's hotting up with Wesley and Fabi at the top now with Hans. And if you want to see some more epic chess between him and Magnus, World Chess Championship Blitz, have a look at the video on screen. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Cheers.